bit of a non-issue on my end. All right, posting workout. Excellent. Let's get rolling, shall we? I'd love to hear your name. And let's see, same question every time I see you guys. Well, not same question. Sometimes same question. Something you're looking forward to, or it could be an and if you want to do both. And or something you're proud of. So it could be kind of like something you've done in the past or something that you're looking forward to in the future. My name's Kirstie, and if I'm being honest, I'm exhausted. So I look forward to sleeping again. I know it sounds silly as I just got up, but it's true. I do look forward to going back to bed, not at the end of the day, not directly after this call. Arisa, go ahead.
No judgment. I would be happy to go back to go to bed after this. Oh yeah, but there's work. Hi, my name's Arisa. Yes, I do like sleeping. What do I look forward to? Sleeping. Uh
The tone for the whole message.
all the other people in the call are laughing. Um, you know what? I'm pretty proud of the fact that even at Camp Mather, I got up, or maybe my body was just used to getting up early, and I still did a little running. Um, yeah, at 4,800 feet, I certainly noticed my lungs. Yeah, and I swam when I could, and I was doing laps
Nice.
while the kids played on the kiddie side. So I'm like, yeah, hey, I brought stuff, and I'm putting my running and my swimsuit to use. So
That's excellent. I'm glad to hear it. I'm sure Meg is also stoked to hear it as well. Very cool. In no particular order, Elizabeth or Joseph, or both.
Were they both there? Yay!
Yeah.
Going to a show on Saturday. So that's exciting.
Oh, I forgot. We're gonna go see Vampire Weekend again.
Oh,
What?
fun!
That's fun.
Where
And
are they
this time,
playing?
the Greek.
Oh, cool.
This time, we're not gonna get stuck by Bart in Berkeley and have to sleep on a playground.
Oh,
I feel like that just ties the whole night together with a nice little bow. I don't know what you're talking about.
The sprinkler did turn on at like 4 a.m. It hits the playground.
Yeah, they did that at Camp Mather too. Just like-
Anyway, I'm proud of the fact that we did that one time. And I'm looking forward to not doing that again.
That's totally both valid points. Last but very not least, Maxine.
hello. I am excited that school's out, and so I'm not rushing to get everything done by 7:15 in the morning. So it gives me a little bit more flexibility.
Lovely.
So very excited. Yes.
So you're saying we should talk more so you have time. I'm kidding. I'm kidding, Joseph. I
More
know.
talking, less lifting. Just kidding.
Kidding. The joke.
Kidding. The joke.
All right, my friends. So here's the deal. We have very similar programming to 2 weeks ago. Tweaked it a little bit, but we're still going to practice some newer skills. So we have the 5%, and actually, let me check in. Any injuries? How is the shoulder, Maxine?
It's okay. Yeah, it's a lot better than it was.
Okay. So just like last time, feel free to adjust accordingly or remove
Yeah.
overhead components that don't feel good.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's plenty of plenty of things that we can
Yeah.
I don't think there's anything too bad for the shoulders today. So we have 3 times through our initial piece, 3 times through, 5 per side, oblique reverse lunges. So I'll go over those again, but essentially that's where we single leg deadlift. Reverse lunge, excuse me, and then bring the leg up as we stand up with a weight in hand. So it's a weighted lunge. Okay, 10 dead bugs. That could be per side or total, depending on your endurance / comfort level or the weight you choose. Weight is optional, but it can make dead bug slightly more challenging, which is why I like it, but it's not a requirement today. And the second part is 4 times through 10 squats into an overhead press. We'll talk about what that can look like. We can remove the overhead press if that, for whatever reason, is not feeling great. We can do this both in a goblet style as well as more of like a front rack where we have 2 weights versus 1. So I show you both depending on what options you have at home. And then we have a forearm plank. So I didn't say it. Yeah, forearm plank. And the rep scheme is actually a leg lifts. So we're gonna be lifting our legs up, right? Lift up the leg, lift up the leg like 10 times. And I'll explain that too. We're gonna finish off with Tabata, which is 20 seconds of work, 10 seconds of rest, 8 times. So 4 minutes total of, I would say, just running time of V-sit lift-offs. So you're doing those the last couple weeks, but we'll make sure we're feeling good about it. Let's first and foremost start with our floor work, warm up, and then we'll get into this a little bit. So let's start with our cat-cows. Find a little space. You can let your spine bend and flex. Use whatever breath pattern makes sense to you. After I say roughly 10, you can do a few more. That's feeling really good. There's nothing wrong with that. We're going to our bird dogs next. That's where we can alternate arms and legs. You don't have to lift the arm, although you can. Right? And back down. Good. So we're doing our bird dogs next, or sorry, continuing to do your bird dogs. And then going into the 90-90 stretch where we sit down. If you're a little snug, it's okay to take turns, or maybe we just, right, be as far away as you possibly can with your person. Feet, shoulder, hip width. You're gonna drop your legs off to one side. This side. Doing a total, I say around 10 reps. The more vertical, so from the side, the more vertical you are, or the less assistance you use, right? The more advanced. If you're a little stiff, I'm a little stiff this morning. I like to lean back just to make it a little more gentle. And this is one where if you're feeling pretty flexible, so I see my feet here, the wider, right, my feet are, so the closer to 90 degrees I am, the more advanced as well. That doesn't mean you have to go there. I'm certainly not ready for that necessarily unassisted, but the bigger the gap between your heel and your knee, to a degree, not to doing splits, can make it slightly more challenging for anyone who is a little more mobile or maybe wants to feel it out. Maybe not at 6 a.m., but it is an option. Okay, let's do this. Let's go ahead, take a kneeling position. You need to get a towel or a pad for your knees, that's fine. My foot's gonna be in front here. Okay, it's off to the side if I want it to be. This back leg can kick in if I want it to. I'm gonna squeeze, so my right leg is down right now. It's okay if you're doing left, but the knee that's down on the ground is my right leg. I'm gonna squeeze my right butt cheek first, make sure it's feeling okay. I'm gonna gently shift towards my left knee. So I'm getting a stretch on this on this sort of inseam. I'm just gonna kind of what we call touch end range. So I'm gonna just lean, touch, and then come back. I'm not gonna stay there forever. Just making sure I feel like I'm getting a gentle stretch. Let's do 10 or so. If this in and of itself is a stretch for either inseam or your adductors, just stay there. That's great. After about 10, we'll switch. So it's okay if you double up on the pads on your knees. This back foot, again, kicking in is an option. It's not a requirement here. Squeeze your butt first before you do anything else. Then we lean. Just kind of touching, wait till you feel a stretch. If you don't, that's okay. I find squeezing my butt first is definitely helpful.
That's a good one.
Yeah, it's nice. And if you have a kettlebell at home, you want, like, let's say if I don't have one at the moment yet, but if you have it, you can kind of weight and then that can kind of accentuate the stretch. You're carrying a weight in your hands, should you want to. We're gonna do one more little piece on the floor. That's a hamstring piece. So I'll show you, and Maxine, you have to get back down to the floor again. So we're gonna be in kneeling position. So from the side, I'm kneeling here. If I need to put my hands on the ground, I can, or yoga blocks if you need it. I'm gonna sit back onto my left hip. You know, if my legs don't straighten all the way, that's okay. That's not a problem. I'm just so opening the hip and closing the hamstring, and the opposite. So hip goes back. I lengthen the hamstring and I close the hip. Don't pull your hamstring here, just gently. And again, if you need to put your hands on the ground, you can. Let's do 5 to 10 oscillations of that per leg. Again, with hamstring and adductor stuff, you don't need to go crazy hard on anything. It's not worth pulling muscles there. Excuse me, hiccups. All right, come on. Once you've done your 5 to 10, that's per leg. I know it's a pretty big discrepancy, but depending on how the hamstring feels, if it's feeling good. Let's get our shoulder warm up this time. So you can take this kneeling or standing. I'm gonna kneel because it makes sense for me logistically, as long as you have room to move your hands around. So whether you're sitting on your feet, that's fine. If you have super long arms, maybe you're fully kneeling on your knees. We're standing up. We're gonna go ahead and get our arm circles, right? So thumbs are up, T shape. Keep your elbows straight. Gradually make the arm circles bigger. You need to make different size circles. That's okay. Once you have 10 rotations, roughly, back to 90 degrees or slightly lower if we need less challenging movements, go backwards. Or the opposite direction that you started in. There you go. So just swing the arms forward and back. Let your arms do most of the work. Letting my pendulum swing. There you go. A little cross. Give yourself a hug. All right. last little piece, of course, is going to be, well, we're abbreviating here. Thumbs down, right? So I can't see my thumb here, but my thumb is down. Small. And it's okay to start down a little lower on this one if you need to. 10 rotations. Rest if you want between direction changes. This one can be a little harder. Thumbs down again, and we're going to go opposite. So we have our two initial movements, right? This is going to be one where, let's start with the dead bug, just as I'm near the floor. So I'll demonstrate that first. I'll demonstrate without weight and with weight. We've done these before. So the dead bug typically can be done a couple different ways. Basically, I'm going to keep my knees bent for this. You can straighten your legs. My low back is on the ground. I'm breathing out to the side, not up in the air. So there's a big gap here. I want as minimal of a gap as possible. You don't have to tuck it under unless you want to. My knees are above my hips. My hands are above my shoulders. A simple version is going to be just moving the legs, right? I'm trying not to let this knee move back towards you. If it helps, put your hand on the knee, right? Just so it doesn't kick back at you. If we want to add the arms in, you can of course go opposite arm, opposite leg, same, right? If you want the same side, stay on the same side for 5 to 10 instead of trying to switch. But the goal is not to be moving your knees towards your chest as you move. You want to weight this. An option is basically instead of moving one arm at a time, remove the dumbbell. So I'm going to bend my elbow a little bit. So as I come back, I have a little more like of a tricep position versus a straight arm, which makes it way harder. I'm going to do the same thing. Breathe in. Right. I obviously have a couch in the way, but you get the idea. Right. So it basically adds weight to your upper body. Right. So as you pull the arm back, it's slightly more challenging. And that's 10 pounds. You don't need much. So it's an option. Take it or leave it, but I wanted to show it to you. The second movement we're going to be doing is the oblique reverse lunge into a single leg balance. So all that means is we're going to be carrying the weight on our standing leg. So we're doing this per side, right? So if I start with my right leg, I'll show you from my hips down here. I'll be carrying my weight on my right leg. Okay, so if I'm stepping back my left leg, this is my standing leg. I'm going to have my weight in my standing leg. I'm going to step back, right? Come back up, lift my knee. That's one. I can come back down to the ground, or I can pass that position altogether. So that's all we're doing. So reverse lunge, carrying the weight on the standing leg. So we're emphasizing that leg a little more. And then we're doing 5 per direction. So if you want to start with a reverse lunge, period, that's fine. Then we can add a knee raise. Then if we add some weight, let's do 5 reps per leg on this reverse lunge into a single leg balance. 5 reps per leg. And like I said, pick a weight that feels manageable. You could always go up if you have the option. So let's do our first round here. Find a little space. Again, if you need to just reverse lunge unweighted, just do this whole thing unweighted, that's fine. Right? If lunging is a problem, we can go ahead and squat or go to a depth that feels safe for both knees, hips, or ankles. Once you have 5 reps, that's per leg, so you can switch hands and legs once you've done 5 of each. We're going to do 10 dead bugs. So this is going to be per side. Make sure that's written. And the instructions for our doing this later. 10 per side. So 20 total. We're increasing the volume a little bit. Yeah. Great. And it's okay to find your balance before you lunge, right? You don't have to commit to a lunge position that doesn't feel good. And that foot point, that contact point between standing and lifting the foot is welcome to be used for some assistance. We're going to do this a total of 3 times. Okay. So when you're doing your dead bugs, still continue breathing. I like to breathe in as my limbs are kind of leaving, going away from my center of mass or away from my body, and exhaling, right? Breathing out as I'm pulling my knees and hands towards my body again. Helps reinforce that brace. Nice low back. I would say close to the ground. A lumbar curve is okay. This is part motor control drill. Try and make sure that knee or hand doesn't move away from the hip or shoulder joint when it's not the one that's kicking away. Taking your time through these. Bit of balance work. There you go.
At the risk of being that girl with the oblique, are we still doing something with like the side bend for the oblique part, or is that?
Good question. If I'm being totally honest, I completely forgot about that part. But yeah, that if you've done it before, yes. But we can add it in next week. I will say honestly though, I was calling you Meg. Where'd that come from? Maxine, when you're carrying a weight right unevenly, meaning right on one side, right?
Yeah.
That even if you don't do that little lean to the side, you are inherently training that side or that oblique. You're just not like crunching it, like flexing it. So you still get an oblique pattern. It's just less specific. But yeah, if you want a little teapot motion to the side, absolutely. We're on round 3, so I figure I'm not gonna stir the pot too much on people's movements. Nice and steady. So dead bugs are not meant to be quick, right? Not slow, but definitely not fast. Nice work. Take your time through that 3rd round. Everyone's pretty much there. So take your time through those dead bugs. If you're hanging out, just take a break. Just don't fall asleep, Marisa. Laying down is okay. Just don't fall asleep. So this is more for people watching later. For anyone, the lunges, the oblique part of the reverse lunge was or can be emphasized by a slight lean to the leaning leg. I obviously, if I'm being honest, totally forgot because I'm tired. But ultimately, for doing this later on or during this week, if I'm on my right leg, lunging with my left, it's a little like a lean and then a lunge, right? Like let's take just a little side crunch, if you will. Like I said, what you all just did is still oblique biased because you're carrying weight on one side and not the other, or just we didn't kind of flex to the side, right? So just almost like an addendum if you could go back in time. Okay, so we have our second portion today. That is a squat, so that can be goblet or front, and I'll go over both, into an overhead press. So I'm going to show you with a couple of variations, okay? 1 weight, 2 weights, not 3. But ultimately, I'm going to try and show you the full movement. And depending on what you're using, so if you're using a dumbbell, or if you're using a kind of more of a kettlebell, or I would say unevenly loaded object, right? Bottom heavy, we can play with this. So I'm gonna start with the goblet and the dumbbell. I think that's the simplest of the 3 options. So our squat stays the same. I'm gonna carry this weight in front of me, straight from the side. I'm gonna squat down. How do I do this? Sorry. My room isn't long enough. I think I need a fisheye camera. Okay, I'm gonna squat down. You won't see the squat, but that's okay. I'm gonna squat down, and then I'm gonna go ahead, stand, then press. Now you notice my arms aren't fully straightened. That's okay. If you can straighten them, that's fine. This width is pretty narrow, so I can't get my hands above my head very well with my arms straight. So I want you to stop before you need to, or it will hurt. So squat, press, right? It could be 1 or 2 motions. That's option 1. So keeping the weight in front. So this is a dumbbell. Let's say you have 1 dumbbell. I have 1 dumbbell at home, but I want to practice something slightly different. I want a front rack position. We're going to have the dumbbell on our shoulder. This can be still done with 1, okay? We're going to be squatting, same thing. So this is head on my shoulder, standing up. I'm going to go ahead and squat and press, right? So I'll show you my hands here. My shoulder, my wrist is over my shoulder, it's over my hip, right? Rib cage down. I'm not getting out here. And again, we can make this 2. So if you have 2 dumbbells, most people have a pair, right? We can make this 2. So bring this to your shoulders. So it can, again, be 1 or 2 motions. It could be a squat, pause, press. For my ex-CrossFitters, maybe someone who's more dynamic, a little more confident, it could be a squat, press. So less of a pause. If you have a kettlebell and it's light enough, okay, you can front rack this guy like you've done in the past. So thumb near the shoulder, on sternum. Similar idea, right? Squat, press. So you can kind of, we could just go, so because there's 10, right? And if you're going single weighted, and you choose to go with the front rack, do 5 per arm. You're still gonna get the squat, but 5 per arm. It's a lot of options. Does that all make sense? Okay, beautiful. So that's kind of our first motion. Again, 10 total reps. If you have 2 weights, easy peasy, we're doing 10. If you have 1, a goblet, same thing, we're doing a total of 10. If you're going single armed, we'll switch at 5. Okay. And then we have our forearm plank with our leg lifts. So this one's pretty simple. You need a forearm plank. When you're a forearm plank, I want your hands in line with your shoulders, not together like you're in prayer. Nothing wrong with that, but not great for a forearm plank. And then I'm going to go ahead and lift up my legs. Not very far, but the reps are going to be 1, 2, 3, right? So on and so forth. So get a wider stance. So I'm closer to shoulder or hip width. So your feet don't have to be together. And that's going to be your rep count for the second part. Cool. When you're ready, there's no kind of time, but when you're ready, we're going to try on those squats first. If you need to alternate, and I just can lose your kind of and a tight squeeze, it's okay if you're switching the order. It's not critical. Whatever makes sense logistically for you. 10 squats and an overhead press, or also known as thruster. And then we have followed by a forearm plank with 10 leg lifts. Yeah, there you go. Respecting range of motion. So we still want that full depth squat, right? So if you were to still sit down to, I would say very low stool, right? Or I would say if you can, right? Hip crease at or below parallel, right? So if it helps you, so you can kind of sit to your couch like you've done before. Not now, you can obviously, right? But a little lower on the squat next time, if you can. So the forearm plank, set the hips down, squeeze your butt, and they're gonna lift your legs up just a little bit, just toes off the ground. Think of this as sort of an extension, the forearm plank and the leg lifts, extension of your bird dogs. We don't need a huge movement of the pelvis. We're just almost like activating the hamstring, if you will, when you lift up the foot. For anyone who's struggling with a leg lift, forearm plank is fine. Just go ahead and maybe do 30 seconds of a forearm plank. Elevating, that's fine too. We're doing a total of 4 rounds here. It is okay to rest between movements within a movement or between rounds. The only kind of constraint is you have to complete all 10 reps prior to moving on to the next movement. So let's go head up a reset and hips down on that plank. Yeah, there we go. And breathe. I know it sounds silly, but don't hold your breath in that plank if you can. If you can help it. There you go. With the weight loaded in front of your body, whether you're carrying it on the shoulder or in front of your chest, you're going to keep the chest up a little more than you would, let's say, when you're doing a body weight squat or a weight on the back. So if you feel like you're far, far forward, try to keep your chest up as much as possible.
Four rounds?
4 total rounds. That is
Okay.
correct.
I think that was 3.
I think you're around that, but I reposted the workout as we actually did it today. So don't worry about that extra post. That's just from my mental notes. like I said, resting as you need between movements or within a set of movements. All right. Looks like we're almost done. I know we're kind of, it's okay. Some people are a little faster, a little slower. That's totally fine. When we do self-paced, I say self-paced workouts, right? We're all completing same amount of rounds, potentially same amount of reps. The speed at which it gets completed is slightly different, just like racing. That's fine. Just checking, Arisa, are you sure you're not doing 5 rounds? Just double checking. So only doing 4. I mean, you could do 5.
I've lost count, but then I had to go talk to my son, so I'm not sure.
I think that was 4. You're welcome to continue working.
Okay.
You have to stop, but I think you've done 4. If I had to guess, but go for it if you want to continue. So while Reese is doing extra credit, I think it's extra credit. Let's talk about kind of the last little piece, right? Again, the format is going to be 20 seconds of work, 10 seconds of rest. Rest is a strong term. Not a ton of rest in reality, but nonetheless. And we're actually going to be alternating between 2 movements today. I did add one. I'm going to give you a few options for the second movement based on your needs. So we have kind of a shoulder / posterior shoulder. It's a bit of work, but it's also a bit of rehab. So it's a nice little combo there. We have just a little upper back, we call it extension. We did a lot of closing today. So we're going to open, right? Without laying down. So I'm going to give you a couple options there. But the first movement is going to remain the same for everybody, which is the V-sit lift-off. The V-sit lift-off being where we sit down. And again, I would say requirement quotations is for you to sit with your legs straight in front of you, sitting up tall. So if that's not the case for you, I did this last week. This is a poor example, but okay, here's my cookbook. You can go to something else. You can lift up your butt by an inch or so. And for some people with really stiff hamstrings, that can allow them to straighten the leg, right? Or sit on a little ledge. So for anyone struggling with keeping the leg straight, that's going to be a great option. Also, great cookbook, highly recommend. So we're going to go ahead, and the farther forward or closed off my hips are, right, the harder this is. The more vertical I am, the easier or less hard. I'm gonna point my toes or flex, whichever makes sense to you. You're gonna go ahead and lift off. You can push into the ground, lift off with the legs, right? Not very high. I'm using my arms a little. I am pushing down on the ground. If 2 legs is too much, your legs are too big and too strong, hey, not a bad problem to have. Just do 1 leg at a time. That's fine, right? So that's gonna be our first movement. The second movement, or options, this is where you get to choose. We're going to do one of 2 things. We're going to be laying down, right? So facing the floor. Option 1, snow angels. Basically, or I guess we're making shapes with our hands. So basically, I'm facing down. I'm going to lift up my hands, right? So I'm hovering, go into a W shape. I can't reach all the way above my head because of my room here, but reach all the way above, back to your W, here, and then touch. So a lot of posterior shoulder, but should feel pretty good. Okay, that's option 1. And if you can, reach farther than my couch will allow. From here, option 2 is going to be your Supermans. Again, I'm going to go sideways just so I can do this. Right, Supermans can be either to the sides or in front. And you're going to go lift up the toes together. Right, so mid to upper back. Right, whichever one works best. And because you're going to be on the floor the whole time, all you have to do is just roll onto your belly, roll onto your back, roll onto your belly, roll onto your back. So transitioning isn't too difficult for this. Cool. Any questions on the V sit liftoffs?
Is this for count or for time?
Or time. So 20 seconds, I'm basically 20 seconds of work, 10 seconds of rest. So it's probably gonna be not very many reps, just enough to get a little hit, turn over. Okay. All right. Let's do this. In fact, we have time, which is, I don't know if it's good or bad for you. We're only going to do one movement at a time. Forgive me. I know we're changing plans here, but because we have the time, it's a lot less transition points. We're gonna do V-sit liftoffs for the next 8 rounds only. That's it. Then we'll do the floor facing ones on their own. So you can kind of change it up. So we're doing one movement at a time. I changed my mind. And we're going to be doing 20 seconds of work, 10 seconds of V-sit liftoffs, and that's it. For maybe advanced athletes, you're going to lift your foot over an object. You can. It's not true. Cool. Let's have, I know, so Maxine's ready. She's sitting down. So we're going to start. That's okay. I said I assumed. Am I wrong? It's okay. You can give us a shout when you're ready.
Ready.
Beautiful. Okay. All right. We're going to start our V-sit liftoffs just for the next 8 rounds in 3, 2, 1, and go. Try and sit up if you can. So, or if you need to lean back a little, that's okay, but I still want you sitting up. 3, 2, 1, rest. 10 seconds. 3, 2, 1, go. Three, two, one, rest. Three, two, one, and go. The stellar coaching I'm doing, counting. What can I say? There you go. Three, two, one, rest. There you go. You just finished round 3. 3, 2, 1, and go. This is round 4 of 8. Three, two, one, and rest. If you start to cramp, go ahead, take a break. 3, 2, 1, and go. Or alternate that single, alternate your legs. Three, two, one, rest. Three, two, one, and go. This is round 6. 3, 2, 1, rest. Good. Got this last 2 rounds. 3, 2, 1, and go. 3, 2, 1, rest. This is the last rest interval, last leg lifts. 3, 2, 1, and go. 3, 2, 1, rest. All right. Okay, so we're at 6:49. So I guess we're not doing second movement. You're welcome. You're free. That being said, if you want to stay and do that, I will be here to stay and do that with you. But for anyone dealing with my barista here, stay high. So for anyone, all joking aside, looking for just a little posterior shoulder love or upper back stuff, both of those movements work out really well. So just as a reminder, the movements are, I'm going to do Superman's diagonally because I can't fit in my living room. My toes together, I can just lift up the upper back only, my arms straight, okay? Or lift up both, my butt is actively squeezed, or we can lift up hands, right? Right, without rolling the shoulder inwards. So these are options to take with you. I realize I want to respect your time. Actually, I forgot we're on the 50-minute mark. So let's do this. Pick one of the 2 options. Just one of the 2. That's it. And we're going to do the same format as before. 20 seconds on, 10 seconds off. Okay, so assume the people laying down are ready. I'm gonna make that broad assumption. You tell me if shout if it's not the case. All right, we're going 3, 2, 1, and go. If you want to switch it up, alternate it, you can. Rest. 3, 2, 1, and go. To just rest with your hands by your side while you're doing this. I realize when you're face down, there's a whole lot of place to go. Two, 1, rest. That's 2 rounds. 3, 2, 1, and go. In both the calm snow angels and the Supermans, keep your butt squeezed, toes together. 3, 2, 1, rest. The Supermans don't have to be super big, by the way. 3, 2, 1, and go. Three, 2, 1, rest. Also, resting is needed throughout these movements. That's fine. 3, 2, 1, and go. Three, 2, 1, rest. 2, 1, and go. Three, 2, 1, rest. Last 2 intervals. That's it. We're done after this. 3, 2, 1, and go. With the T's, the snow angels, if you will, go ahead and take your time. Or T's, I's, and Y's. These are, or say W's. The hovering one, the not Supermans. 3, 2, 1, rest. Final rest interval, final work interval. 3, 2, 1, and go. Nice job. Your last 10 seconds. And rest indefinitely. Take a break. Nice work. So the reason for either of those movements is you get a little bit of upper, well, I guess the shoulder, the one is most or posterior shoulder care, is the head's down. But as we lift up the head and the chest when we're laying down, it's just actually, it's a, from what I understand, which is not much, so feel free to correct me. It is similar to your swimming position in some ways. It's a little chest up, right? Just a smidge, right? So, and even if that's not the case, we're looking at a little bit of, we do a lot of closed position stuff. So we're just doing the opposite, just to find some balance in our movement. Beautiful work today. We have about 5 minutes remaining. I will stay on the line, you know what I mean? As you need. Otherwise, good recovery today. Go ahead and drink your water, fuel, all that good stuff. And if you need to roll out or you need some help kind of targeting a certain body part or area, don't be afraid to send me a shout or I'll be here to help. If you have your routine, go ahead and do your routine. It was so lovely to have you, Elizabeth.
I'm so happy to be back. I think that those Superman type things are like swimming because those feel really easy to me in comparison to everything else we do.
Yeah, it's one of those things where, you know, even if you're doing like the V lift offs, you're still kind of forward, right? And yeah, we've extended the shoulder, right? But it's a very kind of upper back specific position. And it's literally inverse of this, right? So it's for anyone who struggles with position, it might just be like, hey, I'm up at like posture. I'm just sitting up now. So the butt squeeze just keeps the back a little more protected. So we're not, for anyone, super flexible. Doesn't mean we're like bending in half, because I've been that person, but I was also, you know, 12. So I was made of rubber. But it was one of those things where the motor control there, the butt squeeze just kind of maintains. Butt squeeze and a brace can help that flexion or extension. So flexions forward, extensions backwards, can help keep that range of motion relatively safe. I will say if you are flexion or extension sensitive, so it hurts your back to go in another direction, don't. I should have said that before, but if it hurts, don't do it. That's silly. And you can reach out to me.
I had a really hard time with the VX. There just was no movement. I was asking Joseph, I'm like, what muscles are you using? How are you lifting your legs up?
Yeah. And that's actually where sometimes, like I said, like I know you can sit with your legs straight, lifting your butt up a little bit gives you
Yeah, I ended up switching to a yoga block.
perfect. Yeah. So lifting up your butt can give you a deficit to work from. It is it's a lot of hip flexor and quads. Like I said, it's a simple movement, but it's really hard to do. It's like, and like, especially the bigger your legs, the stronger your legs, the heavier they weigh, which is great, but not super helpful when you're trying to lift your leg up on your own with no assistance. So it is okay if you're just barely like eking off the ground. First time I tried these, I'm like, got this. And I was like, humble pie. Never mind. Yes, I understand. You're absolutely right. No, thank you. So the leaning back can help, sometimes being a little farther back. So that hip angle, the more closed off you are, the harder it is. The more vertical or lean back and open you are, technically the easier.
Yeah, I had to sit on a yoga block too, Elizabeth.
Perfect. Yeah, so it's not just a flexibility thing,
No.
it just gives you options.
Yeah.
So,
I ended
make
up
sure-
switching to one leg because I was just trying to lift
Yeah.
them and like literally nothing was happening.
Same. On a yoga block, one at a time.
yeah, little tin man. Ding, ding, ding.
Yeah. Hey, we got it done. We did it.
You did it. You did great. We also did a lot more than last week. We did a set number of reps last week, or sorry, 2 weeks ago, excuse me. But this time we did it for time. You're just kind of, moving and you're like, ooh, it starts to kick in a little harder. So
Yeah.
volume naturally comes up a little bit. So fatigue is kicking in, and that is on purpose, but you guys all managed that really well. So nice job today. Y'all, it is 6:59. I'm going to give you 1 extra minute on your day. Have a lovely day. Nikki Brown
Go
says
back
hi.
to bed.
Thank you. Hi,
Thank you,
Nikki.
Brown.
Hi, Nikki.
Hi.
He's not
See
talking yet. He's
you.
not verbal.
It's cool.
Not verbal
I get
yet.
it. Used to that. right.
Bye.
Bye, everyone. Thanks,
Bye.
Coach.
You're welcome.
Oh, how do I get? There we go.